With nearly 30 years on radio, she's been stationed all over the USA, from Chicago to St. Louis to Des Moines, now Indianapolis. Not only does she host a daily radio show, but she's also a whiz at radio programming and marketing. You've probably heard her on some big stations like iHeartRadio, CBS Radio, and Cumulus Media. You've heard her voice. Now let's see her face. Let's please welcome to the program the one, the only, the legendary Taylor J. Hola, baby. Oh, fantastica, chica. How are you?
Muy bueno.
Yay. I love it. I love it. Look at you, so cute. In your new home of Indianapolis?
Yes, when it's Chicago, always an homage to Chicago behind me.
That's right. Well, you know, we're in the springtime for music, right? So a lot of new albums are dropping. We're all getting prepared for summer concerts. Tell me, who are you listening to right now? Who's like your top pick right now?
It's funny that you say that. I'm in this phase where everything old is new again. So, I mean, it's a lot of music from the 80s and stuff like that. Like last night, I went to a George Strait concert. And that is not like quintessential 90s country. But he also toured with Chris Stapleton, who is unreal, like unbelievable. So I'm going to start listening to more Chris Stapleton around the house probably. But yeah, it's a lot of like, my favorite is Daryl Hall. He just dropped a new record yesterday. He's touring this summer with Elvis Costello. So yeah, like a lot of this stuff. And I wanted to talk to you about Daniel Bedingfield. Do you remember him?
I do.
In like the early 2000s, his sister is Natasha Bedingfield. This is so crazy. You know, her song Unwritten was huge back in like 2005, 2000, I think it was 2006. Well, with TikTok, young people are finding these songs. So it's testing on our top 3 brand like crazy. So that's something like, remember, because of that show Stranger Things, Kate Bush is running up that hill, became a hit again because of TikTok and that TV show. Now, you're going to hear probably all summer Unwritten from Natasha Bedingfield. Daniel Bedingfield is going to release, and my favorite is Mariah. I love Mariah. He did a duet with her 20 years ago. He's gonna throw it out there, and this is so crazy. He started this company, which I think is absolutely brilliant. He's taking, like, you know, when a record label puts out a record, like, you know, Taylor Swift just came out with 31 songs. Beyond that, like, she probably wrote 130 that didn't make it on the album, that the record labels have no business, you know, have nothing to do with. So he's taking these lost tracks and he's putting 30-second clips on TikTok. And if something sticks, he's going to re-release these songs that have never had the light of day. I think that's freaking brilliant. It's such a great, like, business model.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, it's almost like your own personal, what do we call it? Focus group. That's what we used to call it back in the late 1900s.
Exactly. We have a lot of focus groups.
Yeah,
I failed some of them, but
well, you know, the funny thing that you mentioned here is the next generation, specifically the Gen Y and Gen Alpha, that are rediscovering our era, right?
It's wild.
It's like you take your clothes to the dry cleaners and then you get them back, and all of a sudden it's a revival of fashion.
Exactly. It's so crazy.
I mean, it's magical, actually, with the youth discovering our past, you know. And of course,
Las Vegas, it got canceled this weekend. They were doing this Lovers and Friends festival, and it was everybody that we listened to. I guess the high winds canceled it. It was everybody that we listened to and partied with in the early 2000s, like Nelly and Ashanti, Janet Jackson, and all those like R&B boy band, like Boyz II Men, and like they were all at this festival. But like, I'd be curious to see if it's like those people like me, and all that, or if the young people are like, yeah, this is dope, this is lit.
I mean, and that's That's sad that they canceled it because I would love that. You know, Madonna just had her final concert in Rio de Janeiro last night, which was free to the public, and they had over 1.6 million people.
I saw the picture. So crazy.
Isn't that magical? Like our reigning queen from our old era, like still just landing it. But you know what? If she's going to go out, this is the way to do it.
Exactly. I saw that tour in Chicago at the beginning of February. It was amazing. It was my first time. I loved her since, like, I was so jealous of, I was too young to go to the Virgin tour. Like, the girls that came back to school wearing Madonna Virgin tour and all the bracelets, I was so jealous of. Never saw her in concert, and I finally did in Chicago. I don't care that she started at 10 o'clock. Who cares? It's freaking Madonna.
Yeah, exactly. What's the
Legend.
what's the song? Bitch, I'm Madonna. Right?
Exactly.
Well, funny story about Madonna concerts. My very first Madonna concert was Truth or Dare.
Yeah, it's the best era.
And, wait for it, I was in high school. I was going to a little school called Interlochen Arts Academy in northern Michigan. My roommate at the school happened to be Madonna's backup singers,
Deloria.
Donna DeLoria, her son was my roommate.
Stop.
So Madonna flied her son, or her backup singer's son, and I to Detroit on private jet to go to the concert so Donna's son could see her. It just so happened to be the same concert that in the Truth or Dare movie, she sings Happy Birthday to her dad.
Yes. Oh my God. Now I want to rewatch it.
I know, right? Oh, that should come back out.
Yeah.
That has
Her dad has a winery up there. I go to it every summer up at near Interlochen, up in Suttons Bay, Michigan, Leland County. It's the best. It's absolutely the best. I can't wait to go up there. But yeah, she goes up there sometimes.
That's awesome. Oh my God. Just imagine you're sitting there sipping a lovely, I don't know, Sauvignon Blanc, and all of a sudden you're like, bitch, there's Madonna.
Bitch, there's Madonna. I did, behind the winery, there was a bocce ball court, or is it bocce, whatever. And the balls say Chakotay. So I posted that on, and it's by a little house. I don't know if that's her dad's house, but I posted that on social media, like, look at I played bocce ball there.
I love that. Well, it's so funny because, like, you know, when I was like, and I had to have been like 15, 16 years old, little queer kid, being flown private jet, sitting backstage at Madonna concert, Truth or Dare. And can I just tell you, Madonna was fabulous, of course, and was really sweet to me. And
so you met her.
Yes.
You met the queen.
But I was so enthralled with her backup dancers at that time. Remember how hot they were?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Madonna, you're cute. Who are they?
Wow. So, what did she sing? Do you remember?
Well, she hugged, of course.
We know everything.
Yeah, I know. She, of course, she came off stage and she hugged Donna's son, and then she met me, and she kind of just, she was more interested in my roommate, which is fine. Totally fine. I fully respect that. I was just a little kid hanging on there, you know. But it was so cool.
My God.
Now then, the last Madonna concert I went to was her MDMA concert, which she did start at like 11:30 at night. I got the two songs, and by this point, I'm like in my mid to late 40s. I got the two songs. I was like, okay, I heard her. I have enough of that. I gotta go. All right, so I was doing some calculating here. First of all, you've been on air for almost 30 years on radio. Can you believe that?
No, I cannot.
I did some rough estimate calculations, and this may blow your mind a little bit. But with my rough estimated calculations, you have been on air, your voice, on the broadcast radio waves of America for over 65,000 hours.
Wow, that does blow my mind, because actually I did start in high school radio, so that was probably 91. So it may be even, isn't that wild? Oh my God, because I pretty much consistently, there was like a 9-month span when the recession hit and the world just took a dump. That 9-month span, I don't think I was on the air, but other than that, I've consistently been employed in radio on air. It's crazy.
I mean, it's insane. And, not only are known for your voice and being on air, but you also, like even right now, you currently run 6 stations out of Indianapolis, right? And it's not
The market activities, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just like programming. You still go out and do events, and you still do remotes, and you still do all these things that, back in our time, they were also thing. But let me ask you, how has radio changed in those 30 years?
So much. Like, you take a look at like a station that I know you're familiar with in St. Louis, an iHeart brand, KSLZ Z1077. It's been on the air since 97. So that's over 25 years or something like that. That station, I started there in 2003. I split the midday shift with someone. So it was a morning show. So a morning producer, it was 2 people in midday, afternoon drive, an evening host, an overnight host, maybe 2 overnight hosts, a promotions director for just that station, like 10 street team members, an imaging director, a production director just for the station. Now, like we were just talking, I'm the marketing director for 6 brands. Back 20 years ago, 25 years ago, there would have been 1 for each station. So we streamlined a lot, and I know there's a lot more syndication, a lot less, like that station that I'm talking about in particular. I think there's maybe 1 local person on the air there, because a lot of radio stations, people do shows in one market that get spit out to other cities too. So it's just changed personnel wise. Even like obviously with streaming, the record labels haven't figured out fully how to monetize it. So there's differences in the way that music is marketed now. It's a whole different thing now.
Well, that's what I was going to ask with the whole streaming services now. Now, I do know iHeart has their own app, and I love that. It's really great for me, especially living out of the country.
Yep.
Is that going to be the pivot from terrestrial radio to stream?
So right now, people listen to radio the most in their vehicles.
Yes.
Well, eventually, I don't know if you've been in a Tesla. When you get into a Tesla, the last thing you're thinking of is the radio, which is a really scary thing for the radio industry, as more and more cars are going to be built with more like iPads in them too. So you get in the car and you're like, hey, I want to hear a Tesla, I want to hear a Beyonce. And then that's what happens. And you're not thinking about your favorite radio program. So we're in the process right now. And like people don't, you go to the electronics store right now, or the electronics section of Target or something. You're not going to find a radio. You're going to find a lot of smart speakers and smart devices. So we're training our listeners right now to like, when you wake up in the morning and you're like, just like you've always used radio, use it with your smart device. So tell your smart device to play, 95.5 WFMS. So we're in the process of training listeners about like, you still get a product, but you just do it in a different way now. But it takes people a long time to get messages. So hopefully it's working.
And especially with audience demographics, like, we come from the era of radio, and I'm sure most of the terrestrial radio listeners are still people our age and above. But now we got to bring in the next generation, and they are going to be more on your streaming platforms.
And that's a challenge, like, and things like the iHeartRadio app, because they were born with these in their hands. Yeah. We're trying to teach them too. Like that stuff you hear in the car with your mom, you can get it, and you can get all of the stuff right here. Maybe you get tired of listening to a song on Spotify. You want a little personality. You want to know what's going on in your local city. Like we're right here. We have apps. All of our stations have apps. It's just a matter of us taking the time to message for people to download the apps. And that's another like marketing era too, like doing contesting to get people to get in sync with apps.
I get you. So 30 years on air in the world. Give me your top 2 favorite artists you've met in person, and then give me your bottom 2 favorite artists that you've ever met through your careers? Let's start with the tops.
So I don't know if he's my top, but I will tell. Oh wait, yes. So I was telling you, 50 Cent. This was back like right after In the Club. He was coming to St. Louis, and our afternoon drive. My boss, personality, he was tasked with interviewing him, and we all went to lunch, and he's like, I don't know what to ask this guy. He's been shot 9 times. I don't really have anything in common with him. So we were kind of brainstorming. He's like, why do you all come in this interview and interview him? So we're all like nervous. Like he's going to be like this like scary gangster guy. And he was like a soft, sweet teddy bear. I still remember there's a picture of me. Like, we took the picture, he was like caressing my back. Which now, I guess, like, you can get in trouble for, that stuff. But I welcomed it. I welcomed 50 Cent's caresses. And then, at the time, my role was music director for the station. And Billy Joel was someone that I've always loved. So I went to Columbia Records, and I was like, it would be so cool if I could meet Billy Joel when he's in town. And they're like, yeah, we'll fly in, and we'll take you to the show. And he was so sweet. He gave me his set list, like, autographed, and he had like a genuine conversation about St. Louis, and I think I gave him some misinformation. I said Tina Turner was from there, and he's like, no, she's from Nutbush, kind of saying like, no, she's from St. Louis. But so I lied to him. And then like afterward, his band, he has a phenomenal band that have been with him forever. We went to a bar next to the venue, and they all came out afterward, and they remembered my name. I don't know if somebody nudged them and told them to, but it was really cool that, like, Billy Joel's band knows me. So, yeah, 50 Cent and Billy Joel were really, really cool to me. So the bottom, yeah, my absolute bottom, and if you ask a lot of radio people that have been in radio in my era, they will all have the same answer. You ready? It's Avril Lavigne. She was awful.
I would have never thought that.
She was, so when I moved to St. Louis, one of the first things that we did is we did this big event where people went out to a Dairy Queen and had to dig through this like kiddie pool full of whipped cream to get the opportunity to meet her. And I was the person that took them back. And all these little guys, they skate boy, they were so excited, little like 9-10-year-old girls. So they go in front of me because I'd have to stand back and like get her to record some liners and do a little interview with her. They go in, and like 30 seconds later, they all come out and they look so sad. I'm like, what happened? They're like, nothing. Like, she wouldn't talk to them, wouldn't look at them. I think she just like kind of stood there and took a picture with them. And I should show you someday. I'll show you the picture that I have with her. She just looked like she wanted to be anywhere but hanging out with me.
Well, I mean, yes. In some ways, I can't understand, like, every celebrity, this as well as an on-air personality, and you're being forced to be on, right? And some days you just can't do it.
So we gave her another shot. No. And like a year later, she had more music coming out, so we did it in studio with her. She was awful again.
Okay, then yeah, she can get gone. And they're like some controversy, like if she's alive or not. Like, oh man. So who else? Who else was like a let downer?
Sometimes you meet people at the beginning of their career, and then as they rise, it gets disappointing to see. When I first met the R&B artist Trey Songz, he was so wonderful. He was primarily just on the urban side of radio, and they were trying to cross him over, and I worked on the top 40 side. So he was really, really, really nice to me, really sweet. We did some events and stuff with him. And then it was like, the further he rose, I remember there was the incident at the radio station where we had another artist dead, and then he had to wait like 5 minutes, and he was like, see, the man, why are you making me wait? Like, it was just like, dude, like, chill out. You're still getting your time on the air, and I don't know, it was unnecessary to have kind of, like, you can see his ego was growing.
Now, it's funny you say that, because I've met a lot of celebrities in my time on air, but I found the opposite, actually. Like, I'll never forget one time when Queer Eye for the Straight got first rendition, Carson Kressley and all those people. So I was booked to host live an event at a mall, and Carson Kressley was my co-host. This was like season 1 of Queer Eye back in the day. Can I tell you, he was the biggest pain in the ass. He thought he was like Madonna, right? He thought he deserved to be treated like this pampered priss and was so horrible to work with, including with me and to the audience, and was just so like checked out, didn't want to do it, had an ego beyond all belief. And I will never forget when we wrapped up that remote, I walked him back to his car to be taken back to the airport. And as he gets in his car, he grabs the door to shut it, and I stop it. And I leaned in and I said, I just want you to remember one thing. A year ago to this date, no one knew who you were. No one. And just because people know who you are now doesn't mean that they're going to continue to know you or like you. So you may want to adjust your attitude when you do these public appearances. And then I slammed the door on him and sent him off to the airport. I didn't even give him a chance to respond. So fast forward about 6-8 years, I happened to run into him at a party, and he comes right up to me and he goes, "Hey." And I was like, "Oh, hello, sir. How are you?" And he's like, "I'm good. Hey, listen, I just want to apologize to you." And I went, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "Yeah, I remember doing the show with you in St. Louis. And yeah, I was kind of a dick." And I was like, wow, somebody's growing. And which was really nice to see. So he even bought me a drink and was like, we kikied. And so now we're friends, which is great. But it just goes to show sometimes you never know. Like, I have found more celebrities on their upswing is when they're a pain in the ass. But once they're established, they realize, oh, I don't have to be a pain in the butt. I can do whatever I want.
I love that. I love that story.
Isn't that nice?
That is wonderful.
So you never know.
Yeah, it's sometimes like when you get to a level, the media training comes in. There is a rapper, Little Yachty, that I interviewed probably 6 years ago. He wouldn't answer my questions. And I thought like his record label folks were in the studio. And I saw that like turn their heads and start looking down. Like they knew that the kid needed some media training. Maybe he's fine now. I don't know. I will never interview him again, but.
Well, and that's the privilege that you and I as media aficionados have. We've been around since dirt and at least the late 1900s. So we can pick and choose these days. Which is done.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to say yes to everything anymore.
So you mentioned earlier in the beginning of this episode about summer concert tours. Who do we got coming out? Who are you excited about? Who should we clamor for the glamour to get the ticket?
So, we have 3. I listed them all out. Coming to this market. There are 3 pages of shows. The one that I think right now I'm most looking forward to in my old age is Janet Jackson touring with Nelly.
Wait, didn't they have something for a little bit? I feel like Nelly.
They did a song together, and then she was dating Jermaine Dupri. So she was actually I'm sure you've been to some of Nelly's black and white balls in St. Louis. Like, she was at the one I don't think I was invited to, but she was there with Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
Because she toured last summer with Ludacris. So now I like this Nelly bill. And then, of course, every summer, again, I'm old, I go see New Kids on the Block. This year, they're taking Paula Abdul back on the road. I still loved watching her dance on TikTok. So I'm so excited to see that tour. Like every country artist is touring this summer. One artist who's he's more than one to watch because he's selling out everywhere. Noah Khan. I don't know if you are familiar with him, but like you can't find a ticket to see him. He sold that out right away. Hardy is a big guy in country. He's going to kick off our country shows this summer. He does a lot of writing. I just went to see Morgan Wallen before he threw the chair from the bar in Nashville. Right before that, it was like that same weekend he did that. So that was like cool to see a stadium show from a really, really huge artist right now.
I love it. So we have a lot coming out this summer.
A lot. There's so much. It's going to be a very busy summer. I'm excited.
Hope you plan all your outfits.
I know. I need to go shopping.
Yes, darling. We need new wardrobes.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today. Guys, you can check out Taylor J on Instagram at Taylor J Radio and on X and TikTok at Taylor J hyphen radio, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and on Facebook. So,
Yep.
so it would definitely check out all of her work. It's amazing, and listen for her on your streaming services and all those things because she'll keep you informed. Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today and just reminiscing about our old era.
It was so much fun. Thank you. I love this. I love how we did it.
Thank you, baby. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Too.
And for those of you, if you want to find out more great queer content, log on to our website, edgemedianetwork.com. You can also check out our social media platforms at edgemedia.com. Be sure and subscribe and like this video on YouTube so you will always get all the great content from On the Edge. Thank you.